Hey guys, this is Dane from NYYU. We'd like to welcome you to the Yankees Farm Report. We have special guest Jared Cerna with us today. Jared, how you doing?
Hola, hola, estoy muy bien, súper bien aquí en la Liga de Invierno, aquí en Guadalajara, Jalisco.
So for most of you guys, if you don't know, Jared right now is playing in the Mexican League down there with is it Jalisco, ¿verdad?
Charros de Jalisco, ahí está la
The
chamarra,
Charros
mira.
de Jalisco, and he's having a really good season down there. I don't know if any of you caught his highlights, but
Yes.
the Jalisco team has posted many of his highlights, especially defensive highlights.
Yeah.
He's playing really well down there.
Yeah, he's having a great season. Los, go
So,
ahead.
para comenzar, te quiero preguntar a ti, ¿cómo llegaste a los Yankees? ¿Cómo te encontraron ellos? ¿Cómo te trajeron al equipo?
Yo primero firmé con una academia, con un equipo que se llama Toros de Tijuana, que es la liga de verano aquí en México. Entonces yo firmé pues, con ellos en el 2017, pero para ese entonces yo me preparé año y medio para las pruebas, para los showcases, tryouts.
Ujú,
Me preparé año y medio y en el 2019 fue que en una academia en Monterrey, Nuevo León, México, en una academia donde se juega una liga literal, una liga.
ujú,
Se juega y ya pues hacen pruebas de campo, los showcases y el juego para que los scouts vean. Y ahí
ujú.
fue, desde de esa academia de Monterrey fue que salí para la firma para los New York Yankees.
Okay. So I asked him how he came up to the organization. He said he
Ajá.
signed through an academy in Monterrey and in 2017 and a scout found him there. Y déjame preguntarte, cuando te encontraron a ti, ese fue el mismo tiempo que encontraron a tu primo. If you guys don't know, his cousin is Luis Serna, who's also playing for the
Yes.
FCL Yankees.
Yes.
Él fue firmado en el 2020,
Oh,
creo que
okay.
un año después, si no me equivoco.
Okay. He said he believes he was signed the following season.
Okay.
Luis Serna was.
Now, I've
Okay.
been following you since you were in the DSL and you first popped up on my screen because you walked more than you struck out in your first couple years. You have remarkable bat to ball control. Is that what you focus on when you're growing up or
¿Me
¿Qué puedes
entendiste?
traducir ahí, porfa? A lo último
Eh,
no lo entendí.
él dice el control que tú tienes y la disciplina de cogiendo más base por bola que te ponchaba en los primeros cuantos años. Si eso era algo en que tú te enfocabas o cómo desarrolló eso.
Ok, no, pues simplemente tomando buenas decisiones al bat. Al momento a la hora de batear yo pensaba en hacer un buen contacto, pero a picheo es donde yo podía hacer daño. A
Okay.
picheo es donde yo
Y,
podía hacer daño, entonces simplemente llevaba el plan de hacer un contacto fuerte a las pelotas. No era como de que, voy a llevar el plan este de agarrar más bases por bolas que ponches o que contacto. ¿Sabes cómo?
okay. So he's saying that, his plan out there is to basically make good decisions regarding the pitches he's going to attack, and it's basically the Yankees mantra, right? Hit
right?
strikes hard, and that's what he concentrates himself on. It's not necessary to take a walk, but he's looking for his pitch. And when he sees his pitch, he's going to make good swing decisions and solid bat through ball playing.
Gotcha.
Um, Cuando tú eras más joven, entonces, tú tenías un equipo más favorito que te gustaba, cómo trabaja, como si tú tenías un equipo en el Major League o era en la Liga Mexicana.
No, a mí me gustaba, pues yo siempre fui fanático de los Dodgers,
Oh, ujú.
pero pues simplemente, fíjate, mi familia, pues, la mayoría de mi familia es Yankee fan. Mi
Oh,
familia es
sí.
Yankee fan a morir, siempre ha sido así.
Ujú,
Entonces, yo cuando jugaba Xbox también, o el PlayStation, escogía los
ujú.
Dodgers, porque el
Ajá,
Dodgers era el equipo favorito mío. Entonces, pues cuando se dio la firma con los Yankees, pues obviamente uno se tiene que cambiar ya, ¿no?
claro que sí. ¿Y había un
Sí,
pelotero que tú tenías favorito?
no, yo un pelotero así, favorito, José Altuve y Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter, esos
Mm,
dos peloteros, no.
I don't think you need a translation for that, right? His two favorite players.
Yeah. Got it.
I want to mention something to him too, because this is something that I learned this year, and I wasn't aware of it, and I guess it's just ignorance on my part. But having a Dominican background, Dominican parents, baseball is big to Dominicans. I didn't understand until this year's World Baseball Classic how big Mexico was in baseball. Me puede hablar de eso porque yo no sabía de cómo la gente mexicana le encantaba la pelota, como casi igual como los dominicanos.
Sí, sí, normalmente pues aquí en México la gente es muy aficionada al béisbol y de hecho pues también se puede decir que es entregada, pero también es como la gente que viene aquí al estadio, es como también le gusta mucho lo que es la cerveza, le gusta
Ujú,
el pedo así, pues agarrar de la diversión entre y la afición así. Y
ujú.
pues la gente, de verdad, aquí en México es muy, muy fanática del béisbol. Lo que
Sí,
es más en Sonora, donde yo vivo, Sonora es, wow, 100% beisbolera, esa ciudad.
ujú,
Ese estado, vaya, el estado de
ujú.
Sonora.
Eso era algo que yo nunca me había fijado. Like I was telling him that it's just something that I never realized how big baseball is in Mexico and Mexico culture.
Yeah. Just
And they
go
had a good
ahead.
run, by the way. They had a good. You had guys. Mexico salió, yo creo fue en tercer lugar este año en el World Baseball Classic, ¿no fue?
Sí,
O te
creo que sí.
fijaste, te
Sí, creo
fijaste
que sí
del.
salió del top. Salió del top, sí vi unas notas de eso.
Sí, yo creo que perdieron contra Japón. Yo creo que fue
Japón
en el semis.
fue un juegazo, un
Sí, sí,
juegazo.
yo creo que fue por una carrera perdieron. Sí, pero fue un juego
Ujú, por
tremendo.
la mínima creo que fue.
Mhm. So we're just basically telling him that Mexico had a good run in the World Baseball Classic. Unfortunately, they just fell short. I think in the semis they lost to Japan 6-5, and there's nothing to be ashamed of in that. Mexico is a
No.
power. I mean, Japan is a powerhouse.
Yeah, they went on to win.
Yeah.
Ujú.
So bringing it back to him, ¿cuál tú me puedes decir que es la diferencia entre la liga de DSL y el FCL? Si hay mucha diferencia.
En la DSL y FCL,
Ujú,
supongo que yo creo que sí hay diferencia entre los tipos de picheos que tiran los lanzadores, los movimientos que tienen, por ejemplo, en Dominicana se ve lo que es mucho recta, recta,
ujú,
recta, pero yo creo que en Dominicana no tienen tanto control como en
ujú.
Rookie League. No tienen tanto
Sí.
control los picheos. Por eso yo creo que en Dominicana, en mis primeros años, fueron que agarré muchas bases por bola, porque mis
Ujú,
decisiones de swing eran buenas, tomaba buenas decisiones de swing. Entonces, eso era una parte de lo que también le sorprendió a Lee Sigman y a
ujú,
Raúl, el que me firmó, que agarraba muchas bases por bola y menos ponches. Entonces,
ujú,
en Rookie ya los jugadores estaban un poco más desarrollados, pues poco más
ujú.
desarrollados y controlan más lo que es su recta y por eso pues también uno como bateador aprovecha todo ese tipo de picheo.
¿Verdad? So I asked him what was the difference between the DSL and the FCL, and he said in the DSL, pitchers are still learning how to pitch. They're throwing a
Right.
lot more fastballs, so for him it was a lot easier to make swing decisions, because there's better control, or there's not as good control in the DSL as there's in the FCL.
Makes
Um,
perfect sense.
y ahora, tú en el FCL tuviste un tremendo año. Yo escribí algo de eso de ti, vamos a decir, hace un año atrás,
Sí,
y yo pensaba que tú jugaste como un MVP en ese año.
sí,
Y
gracias.
cuando de nada, era la verdad. Y cuando llegaste a Tampa, tú cambiaste un poco. El juego tuyo cambió un poco. Ahora el poder se estaba desarrollando un poco más.
Sí, así es, pues tanto el trabajo de gimnasio, trabajo de mecánica de swing, trabajo de todo, tanto físicamente, mentalmente, ¿cómo se puede decir? Mi mente cambió, hizo un switch,
Ujú,
ya que jugar aquí en México también me ayuda mucho, me da un plus a jugar en Estados Unidos, ya que aquí hay mucha experiencia, hay muchos jugadores
ujú,
de 38, 35
ujú.
años que han jugado, que tienen mucho béisbol, muchos coaches
Hay mucha
que
experiencia
jugaron
ahí. Ujú,
su vida entera, 20 años, 30 años jugando béisbol,
ujú,
entonces es como es mucha experiencia la que agarras aquí para llegar allá a Estados Unidos y se hace como más fácil.
ujú. So I'm talking to him about how there's a switch in his game from the FCL to Tampa. In the FCL, I thought he played like an MVP, and I had written something about him like that, and he had reached out to me and he's just thanking me for that. But he did play like an MVP. He put up tremendous numbers in the FCL that
Absolutely.
season there. Him and Augustin Ramirez, they had tremendous
Yes.
years.
Ujú.
So he says in Tampa that his mentality changed a little bit and his power, started to develop a little bit more. And he also learned a little bit more from from playing in the Mexican Winter Leagues, playing with players who had a lot more experience. I don't know if you guys know this, but in the league he's playing in, I think he's about 9 years younger than the average player.
Right.
So there's a lot of experience that they're passing down onto him. So el poder que te apareció este año progresó en Tampa. Ahí es que estamos. ¿Tú piensas que va a ser un pelotero que da 20 jonrones al año? Como un Altuve.
Imagínate, fueron 19, pero yo no sé dónde sacó ese poder, simplemente yo creo que la fuerza se desarrolló
Ajá.
y
Del
se
aire
dio,
salió, del aire salió. I'm
Pero
asking
no,
him
no.
if if he's going to be a power hitter going forward. Because where those 19 home runs come from? I don't know. I don't know about, because Jared, my co-host here, he mentions that a lot about how your game is similar to Altuve. I don't know how the progression was from Altuve. He went from a contact walk guy to a power guy, but that's our hope for you. Eso es lo que queremos ver de ti, de aquí para adelante, tal vez que tú estés un pelotero que da los 20 jorrones al año, batea bien, coge su base por bola y no se ponche mucho.
Sí, sí, pues simplemente pues yo trabajaba y confiaba en mi swing. Le hacía caso al hitting coach, lo que es Rick Warno, Aaron Lenhart, creo que se llama, no sé. Seguía los consejos que
Pero
ellos me decían.
¿es la mentalidad o también había un cambio en la mecánica del swing?
En la mentalidad simplemente, o sea, puede
Mm.
que, porque mi swing siempre ha sido el mismo, nomás que pues ahora
¿Te
es
ha querido
más como
igual?
más explosivo, con
Mm.
más fuerza,
Ujú,
pues simplemente pues porque desarrollé todo eso trabajándolo, ¿sabes?
ujú. So I am asking him his swing. Was it a mentality change? Was it a change in his mentality or his attack approach, or was it something in the mechanic? And he's saying, it's a mentality change for him. It wasn't a
Right.
change in the mechanics. That his swing has always been his swing.
El approach también, el approach mío que también yo tenía anteriormente hace 3 años a o comparación de este año,
Mhm.
ha cambiado bastante.
Okay. Um, y cuando llegaste a Hudson Valley, ¿cómo te sentías? Vamos a hablar de el picheo que encontraste en la liga de Tampa, yo creo que el FSL, contra el picheo de la liga en Hudson Valley. ¿Cambió mucho o progresó y era un poco más mejor?
No, sí cambió bastante, ya que pues en rookie, tú sabes que en rookie pues lo que van a tirar es recta,
Sí,
¿no?
muchas retas. Ujú,
En rookie, entonces en Tampa también todavía se tira un poco más de recta, se tira recta,
ujú,
recta, recta, y de repente te tiran un rompiente, pero los rompientes es como que casi nunca lo dan, los pitchers no lo ponen donde ellos quieren, sino que se equivocan, lo
mm,
dejan muy arriba, lo dejan muy
ujú,
arriba, entonces yo creo que llegando a Hudson Valley, a clase A fuerte, es como que ya tienen más comando y más control de los picheos, los
ujú,
lanzadores, como
ujú,
lanzador, ya tienen un poquito más de conciencia en dónde poner el picheo, en dónde puedo fallar, dónde puede fallar el bateador, ¿sabes
ujú.
cómo?
So tiene que esperar un poco más en los errores de ellos.
Exacto, tienes que esperar a que él se equivoque para tú
Ujú.
ejecutar.
See. So I asking him what's the difference in the pitching in the Tampa League versus at Hudson Valley, and he's saying, at Tampa they're still throwing a lot of fastballs, they're still adjusting to or learning how to learning their command still. Where at Hudson Valley, it's more of they're him attacking pitches that the pitcher's not executing where he wants to locate them.
Right. Throwing more off speed pitches and hunting.
Yeah, en Hudson Valley
Yeah.
había mucho más sliders, más curveballs y cambios, ¿no?
Sí, y más controlados, más en las esquinas, más en
Mm-hmm.
las esquinitas de abajo. Si te quería
Okay.
tirar un pecho pegado, te lo tiraban en la pura línea del cuadro,
Mm-hmm. Te pinta
en la línea del cuadro. Exacto.
okay. Yeah, so he's saying in the pitching in Hudson Valley, it was a lot better command. You had sliders,
Correcto,
changes,
sí.
things like that. But pitchers were also hitting, painting the black on him as well.
Right.
So este año, tú diste los 19 honrones, yo creo que fueron 29 bases robadas.
Como 28, 29 más o menos aproximadamente.
So, esa meta, llegando a los 20 y a los 30, ¿es una cosa grande para ti?
Fíjate, yo no me había dado cuenta, yo no me meto mucho en mis números porque eso como
Yo
que
a veces me preguntaba eso, si ustedes se enfocan en esos números o si ustedes siguen por su día y
la mayoría de los jugadores se enfocan mucho en sus números, pero la
ujú,
mayoría también se enfoca en aportar al equipo
ujú,
o simplemente se enfoca en uno mismo,
mejorando.
pues.
Ujú,
Se enfoca en uno mismo, pero yo no soy un jugador que se enfoca en uno mismo, sino que a mí me gusta ayudar al equipo, aportar mi granito de arena.
ujú,
Obviamente me gusta hacer mis números,
ujú,
porque así
claro.
pues uno habla bien de uno, entonces, pero sí, muchos jugadores se enfocan en eso, o muchos jugadores se enfocan en otras cosas.
Ujú. So I had told him that last year he hit 19 home runs and he was at I think 28 stolen bases, something like that. Did it matter for him hitting the 20 home run, 30 stolen base mark? And he said that he doesn't really focus on his numbers too much. He just tries to play the game and take it day by day. Him, going back and focusing on where his numbers are every day, it's not something that he does.
Makes sense.
Um, en este año, tú jugaste, yo creo que fueron 60 juegos en campo corto. ¿Tú te sientes confortable ahí? ¿Te sientes cómodo ahí?
Yo me siento cómodo porque naturalmente yo cuando antes de firmar para Tijuana, yo
Ujú.
jugaba shortstop, mi natural era el short.
Oh, okay.
Yo jugaba segunda base también, pero el short también era mi fuerte, era mi natural, pues. Entonces yo me
Oh, okay.
siento cómodo jugando shortstop, pero tampoco me siento incómodo jugando segunda base. Yo te
Yeah,
puedo jugar lo que es
yo,
todo el infield.
yo te he visto jugando base 2 o 3 veces y te ve bien cómodo en segunda base y tiene el brazo. Yo vi ese juego, vi un juego con Jalisco y yo dije, pero venga, yo no me había dado cuenta que tenía un cañón.
No, sí, la verdad sí tengo, nomás que a veces
Ujú,
el brazo como que yo tuve una lesión en el 2016
ujú.
de codo y a veces como que quiero meter el codo para tirar, para proteger, pero ya
Mm,
más bien es mental, porque ya no me duele en realidad.
okay,
Yo ya esa lesión ya estoy fuera de ella,
okay. So
pero en
I was
realidad sí
asking
tengo
him,
un brazo.
sí, es verdad, eso sí es verdad. So I asked him if he felt more comfortable at shortstop or at second base, and he says he feels comfortable at either position. He was actually originally signed as a shortstop. He said that was his original position, and he just moved over a little
Oh,
bit. But he does have the arm for shortstop, and he has a great arm
absolutely
if
he
you put it at
does.
second base. So I mean, I've seen a couple highlights where Jalisco has posted of him diving all over the field.
I've seen a couple of those as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm very excited about what's gonna happen for you in 2024. I mean,
Yes.
los fanáticos que te ven jugando en la organización, ¿qué deben esperar de ti en el próximo año que viene?
En la organización de aquí de Jalisco o de Yankees.
Bueno, para Hudson Valley.
Hudson Valley, pues la gente que espera de mí.
Ujú. O que deben
Yo, creo-
de,
yo creo que deben de esperar algo muy bueno. Deben de
sí.
esperar una buena temporada de mí. La gente yo creo que confía en mí, confían
Ujú,
en mí, entonces tengo que darles un espectáculo, tengo que darles un buen juego, una buena pelota.
ujú.
Entonces eso está en mí, ya trabajarlo y seguir para adelante.
Claro que sí. I'm asking him what can Yankee fans expect from him, or prospect watchers of the Yankee organization. He says, he works hard, and you can expect great things from him coming into next season. And we definitely do. We speak about him often.
Yes, we
Um,
do all the time.
yeah, so we have high hopes for Serna.
Yes, we do.
Anything you
So
want to?
no, I'm good.
Okay,
All right. So I'm just
you just here for the ride?
yeah, I'm just listening. Jared, sorry, I
let me
didn't
let
know
me
you
let me
only go ahead.
let me just say that the first time I met him, this Jared Hunter was very welcoming to me, to my kids. He
Yeah,
came up to them, he said, "How you guys doing?" He started talking to them, he signed baseballs for them, very welcoming, that's what we need to see a lot more in baseball to continue to grow the sport,
absolutely.
not just in MLB, but all around. So te quiero dar las gracias por eso. Te lo agradezco mucho eso.
No, de nada, güey. Ya sabes,
Mm-hmm.
siempre, siempre, brother.
I think that's good. Let's let that man go to sleep.
All right. Get some rest, buddy.
Muchas
Okay,
gracias,
bro.
Graciela.
See
Te
you
lo agradezco
later.
mucho.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Hey guys, what's going on, everybody? This is Dane from NYYU. We'd like to welcome you all to the Yankees Farm Report. Los, it feels like it's been a long time.
It has.
Every time I've been on here lately, you've had somebody else.
Yeah.
So let's go into some. It's just after the big trades from this weekend, and want to talk about a little pitching depth in the system. Everybody's kind of freaked out a little bit that we depleted our pitching depth, and let's tell them why we didn't.
Well, I mean, before we jump into that, I just want to bring something to the attention of most people who watch this. And Fangraphs, Pipeline, Baseball America, they don't have a team dedicated to the Yankees minor league system, but we do, right? Me,
Yes, we do.
myself, Dane, Greg, Jinwook, Philo. We watch the Yankee system day in and day out. We watch players grow. We notice who's about to break out or who's breaking out. And all of the other publications, they only pay attention to them after the fire has already started, right? So no one is doing what we do for the Yankees farm system. So I just wanted to put that out there first and foremost.
Well said.
So moving on to the current state of pitching. Yeah, the system took a couple hits over the last week or so. Is it as good as it was, a month ago? Absolutely not. Not when you lose, not when you lose a pitcher like Drew Thorpe and the depth of like Randy Vasquez and Johnny Brito. I think Vasquez or Fitz as well. Those guys were in the mid-teens. Brito was in the 20s. So, I mean, I would expect that in this season, well, in the preliminary rankings for the farm system, it's probably going to be low. And I know some people pointed to Fangraphs ranking of the system in the low 20s, which was absolutely ridiculous. Because if you ask what's his name from Baseball America,
Josh Norris.
Josh Norris was saying, if he's being completely honest, the Yankees farm system is a top 10 farm system. There might not be a superstar on the horizon besides Jasson and at the time Drew Thorpe maybe, or Chase Hampton possibly. There's a lot of good depth at the lower levels that we're going to start to see coming up now.
Yeah, we're going to start to see incredible players come up from that FCL DSL from last year. I mean, that FCL team was absolutely loaded.
Yep.
And you have two guys in George Lombard and Roderick Arias that I really think have a superstar potential in the system.
Mm-hmm. And I absolutely agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. And I'm really excited about seeing the kids that are coming up from the FCL team and also the incoming pitchers from the draft class that we just had. But going back to the current state of pitching now that you've lost, Thorpe, Fitz, Randy, Brito. I mean, if you go back to 2022, the Yankees have traded or through Rule 5 have lost a total of 20 top pitching prospects.
It's been a ton.
Yeah, there's been a lot of them. I think over the last 3 years, the Yankees have lost, I would say about 35 players that have been in their top 30. So that just speaks to the quality of draft picks and IFA signings that the Yankees have had over the last 3-4 years. That other teams want those prospects.
Yeah, I think we can dispel the myth that the Yankees can't develop pitchers or hitters. We've lost. I believe Eli Fishman sent out a list that we lost 29 top 30 prospects in just the last 3 years to trades.
Yeah,
it's really.
I mean, and even look at the Rule 5, right? The Rule 5 draft that we just had, number 1 and number 2 were Yankee pitchers.
Yeah. So, but as far as the depth in the system, I think we're going to see guys like Luis Gil, Yoendrys Gomes step into those Brito and Vasquez roles. We still have Will Warren. We still have Chase Hampton, who we're both very, very high on.
Still have Beater as well, Brock Selvage, Brendan Beck, who I think Brendan Beck is going to open, if he's healthy this season, I think he's going to open up a lot of eyes, and he might soften the blow over Drew Thorpe a little bit.
They're very similar kind of pitchers to me, where they're more command control over raw stuff. But I just want to see Beck healthy. That's all I want. I've been waiting.
Yeah, we got a brief sample of what that could look like this season, and he was phenomenal. He was phenomenal this season.
He was. What was his ERA? 1.52 or something like ridiculous like that.
It might have even been lower than that. I mean, besides, well, he didn't have the innings pitched, but I think it was the lowest besides Drew Thorpe. Drew Thorpe was the Yeah, I think he was second,
No,
two,
he
three,
was
four.
low.
No, he was
No,
number one, and
you're
Drew Thorpe
right.
was number two, but because of innings.
Right. He just had a phenomenal run when he was healthy, and
Hmm.
I think they'll fast track him next year. But just
Hmm.
getting into the depth of the system, we saw Tracy Tweeney, Dane Sterling, Trey Sweeney traded this week to the Dodgers, and you know, you and I had talked about that, about what was his future. I just thought he was blocked, and he was getting to the age he was drafted out of college. He was getting older.
Hmm.
It was really time to either move him to third or move him, and they ended up moving him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as someone who's been watching Sweeney for what 2+ years, it really sucked losing him. But I mean,
It does.
if we're being honest, he was blocked by Volpe. The Yankees are set on Volpe as the shortstop, and they showed no interest in moving him to third base, which I thought that
None.
they should have done last season. I mean, I would love to have a left-handed, third baseman, a left-handed
So
bat
would
at third
I.
base. I mean, it made a lot of sense because outside of Tyler Hardman and Andres Chaparro, there really was no other third base in the upper levels of the system, and now you only
No.
have Hardman.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they do at third base, but in the upper levels. But I still think it was a good trade. I think we got the better prospect back, even.
I think
Or
it was a good return. I think it was a good return because you got a prospect who's a year younger than him, has a supposed, I think he had a better contact tool, a
yes,
better defensive tool as well. And like I said, he's a year younger and he was already in AAA.
right. And he had an 11 or 12% strikeout, one of the second lowest qualified strikeout of anybody in the minors
Hmm.
last year.
And he had a
I-
much better season than Sweeney did at AA as well. He
yeah,
hit over 280, almost a 400 on base percentage, 37 extra base hits, stole over 20 bases. I mean, the we're talking about Jorge Vivas, by the way.
Jordan.
Um, Yeah, phenomenal. He had a really good season, so yeah, I'm really interested to see what he does and where the Yankees put him. If you looked at Pipeline already slotted him right into the 10th spot in the
Right.
organization. Where he's going to start the season, I have no idea.
I think he's probably going to start in AAA, but I'm
Uh,
not. I'm not 100% sure they keep him.
well, as far as where he starts, I don't know because I want them to start Caleb Durbin at AAA, who's already the
That's
second
true.
baseman. But then Vivas could also play third base, and like I said, there's not much depth in the system at third base. Um, so I'm not sure what happens with him.
No, I'm not sure either, but I think it was a great piece to get back. If they're looking to make a move, he's a left-handed infield bat that's basically
Yes,
major
he's
league
left-handed
ready.
too, by the way.
Yeah, that's a big get.
Hmm.
And he's someone who could slot in at the top of the order for some at some point.
Hmm.
I don't know. I like the trade. What did you think about the guy we got back?
Victor Gonzalez, I think he pretty much a younger, maybe better, cheaper version of Wandy, right? I think I saw that
Yeah,
the strikeout rate was a little bit higher. Ground ball rate was in the mid 60s, which bodes well for him. So I'm interested to see what he does with the Yankees. So I mean, all in all, I think it was a good deal for the Yankees. Um, you don't typically see Cashman trading a top prospect at peak value, so it was an
right.
interesting move to me.
We've been talking about creativity for this offseason, about how the Brian Cashman and the Yankees need to be creative in finding solutions. And so far they have been.
They have been, yes.
Yeah. I've
So is
been,
that your boy what's his name, Fishman, or is that the outside auditors?
I don't like Mike Fishman. I really don't.
Mhm.
But moving into something that I think is going to be a huge thing for the Yankees the next couple of years, Juan Soto and Jason Dominguez
Yeah,
together. How
that's
excited.
exciting. That's very exciting for Dominguez to have that kind of a mentor. Jesus.
And hitting next to each other in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully by the time the All-Star break is past us somewhere in mid-July, I'm hoping to see Jason leading off with Soto hitting right behind him and Judge hitting behind him. I don't know who's going to protect Judge, but that's my hope for the 1, 2, 3 to be.
I wouldn't mind it being Austin Wells, but I don't know if he's going to be ready to be that guy yet.
I mean, we can always hope. I mean, when he was at Somerset last season, he pretty much was a run producer. Did struggle a little bit this season, injuries. Not sure exactly what else it could have been. And he was also in AAA. I don't remember when he came up to AAA, but I mean, before this, he was pretty much a run producer. So hopefully that's what it is.
Yeah, I would like to see that. And then, we got some pretty interesting reports so far this offseason about Spencer Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Damon Oppenheimer said that they thought he was going to be up this year. Now,
Mm-hmm.
take that with a grain of salt, because Oppenheimer said the exact same thing last year, and I got duped on that one too. As
Mm-hmm.
Los will tell you,
Mm-hmm.
I drank all the Kool-Aid on that one. But you're hearing some good things about Jones working on reducing his strikeout rate, that
Mm-hmm.
he's making more work on bat to ball skills, and he's making a 2-strike approach. What do you think we're going to see from him this coming year?
My hope is that he goes back to the player that he was at the FCL and early on in Tampa, which is the kid hitting line drives into the gap in the left center and right center. Not worry so much about hitting the ball over the fence, instead just making solid contact, line drives up and down the field. Like I've said this before, I prefer if he became more of like a Paul O'Neill type of guy, right? A guy
Right.
who hits near 300 or just over 300, with about 30 plus doubles a season and 20 home runs, as opposed to a guy that's trying to hit 35, 40 home runs a year. I much prefer that player.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And if Jones can get back to being that player that he was in college and the first couple levels he was in the system, that's someone I'm really excited to see next year.
Then maybe you could see Oppenheimer's
Quote come
uh
true.
yeah, that to fruition. Maybe we'll see that, but that'll be pretty crazy to have an outfield with like Judge, Jason, Soto, and Spencer just rotating all around. That would be pretty crazy to see.
I think in that scenario, Soto and Judge would go back and forth between right field and DH, and then
Probably.
Jason and center and Spencer and left.
Or it'll probably just be like a merry-go-round, right?
Yeah, I could see it.
Left, center, DH, and then these guys in the corner slash DH. I mean, that's my hope. I definitely do not want to see Judge in center field. I know he could play center field. I've seen him play center field. He plays it very well, but I would think that I would want to preserve his legs as much as possible to make sure that he stays in that prime for as long as possible. Because I mean, what are we looking at for prime for Judge? Like another maybe 2 years of him playing at this level, maybe 2, 3 years, maybe.
2-3 at peak, at his
Yeah,
absolute peak.
yeah.
I think that's another reason why it's so great that they got Soto. Yes,
Hmm.
we still have the extension to worry about, but by the time Judge's peak is over, is right when Soto will be going through his prime,
Yeah. Um,
and
so on
Jason will
that,
be entering his.
yeah. So on that note, I mean, my whole hope for this for a while now has been that the Yankees are able to finally develop a core, right? And Jason could be part of that. I wanted Thorpe to be part of that, Chase to be part of that, maybe Yamamoto to be part of that. But if you have Soto in the mix in that as well, the Yankees are in good hands, man. The Yankees will be in good hands. And I know some people are complaining, saying, "Oh, it's just a 1 year deal," but I don't know. I feel like Soto has wanted to be a Yankee for a long time. If you've watched his
Yeah,
previous interviews, there's little nuggets in there, right? There's little nuggets, and I I have a good feeling that he'll resign. I mean, if Cashman doesn't do anything crazy, if Hal steps in and he has a good season, I can't see him not being here for the next 10 years.
no. And right after the trade was announced, like within 10 minutes, we were on IG and you could see him changing his
Yeah.
page, adding the pinstripes and
Hmm.
everything else. It just seems like he's absolutely thrilled to
He was
be
waiting for
here.
this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I saw the report that Robbie Cano came out and said that he was a perfect Yankee. And I was
Yeah.
just like, they get it.
Hmm.
They see what we, the fan, have been seeing for so
Yep.
long.
Hmm.
And I just can't wait for that.
Yep,
next
absolutely
year.
agreed, man. It's an exciting time to be a Yankee fan. I mean, the only thing, the cherry on top for this season would be the Yamamoto signing.
I was just going to ask you about that. How we feeling there?
I'm still optimistic. I'm still optimistic that it'll happen. Hopefully, from there's not much information on that, but I'm still optimistic that it does happen.
Well, the idea that we got from the meeting yesterday was the Yankees left with very, very high hopes and confidence that they were going to be able to get him.
Yeah, so
We've
that
heard,
from Curry. Yeah.
yeah, and we've heard that the Mets canceled their meeting with him. The Dodgers don't have one on the books, and he's only ever met with the Giants. So
I, I I'm very optimistic. I hope that the Yankees said, you know what? Here's a blank check. Here you go. We'll give you 12 years, $400 million, whatever it may be. Because as it is right now, the Yankees have Garrett Cole, 2, 3 question marks behind him. You don't know what you're gonna get from Rodon. You don't know what you're gonna get from Nestor. And you just gave up King, who was supposed to be your number 2. You gave up Randy, who was a potential swingman, could have been a 4th guy, and you gave up Thorpe, who could have been your 5th guy as well. So I think I think you don't make the King move until you're pretty much assured that you have Yamamoto in hand. Um, Otherwise, because I would find that crazy to make that move without making sure that the next move that you were supposed to be making hasn't already been made.
I was really, I felt my confidence in getting Yamamoto got even stronger when we found out that Hal went in and said, "You give up King, give up Thorpe,
Hmm.
so we can get Soto." Because
Hmm.
I agree with you 100%. I don't think that they would have given up King unless they had a really good idea that they were going to get
Yep.
Yamamoto.
Hmm.
But that also brings us to Roki Sasaki.
Hmm. I mean, that's another thing for another day, right? Because I don't think he's gonna be posted this season. I've seen some report recently that came out said that he might be posted next season. But again, he'll be subjected to IFA rules, right? So you can only sign him for what, maybe $5 million or something like that. $5.1 million, I think.
That would be the absolute max.
Yeah.
But there is still reports that he had the opt out to demand to come this year. And the last date you can be posted is Friday. So
Yeah.
when this comes out, will be tomorrow. The next day, we'll find out. But
Hmm.
if he does, can you imagine if the Yankees landed both Yamamoto and Sasaki in the same offseason?
I mean, that'll be pretty crazy.
Dude,
I don't
I'm
even
just like
know, man.
this.
Yeah.
Bury me happy.
Yeah, that'll definitely be that'll be crazy. That would be
I
crazy.
don't think it's going to happen, but
No,
it's the off
I mean,
season. We can have fun with it.
yeah, it's a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream. Let me be.
Yeah. So, do you see any other big trades coming this off season? Do you think the
I mean,
Yankees are done?
I think I was actually thinking about that this morning, that what happens if the Yomoto thing falls through and they don't get him? Then what? I mean, the Yankees have to pay, they'll have to pivot to try to get another pitcher somehow. But me, I'm ready to say, you know what? Warren, you're number 4, and I don't know who's going to be number 5. Schmidt could be the number 4 guy. We'll go from there. I mean, there are options in the system. You have Will Warren, who I think is ready.
Yeah, I
Um,
do too.
you have Clayton Beater, who some say he can start. I still think you should keep him as a starter until he shows otherwise. And you have Yoandry Gomez, who's on the 40-man roster as well.
And everybody's sleeping on Luis Heel.
The only reason why I don't mention him is because I think he'll be capped, right? So do you really want to just give him, 15, 20 starts, something like that? Or would you
That's a
rather
good
him
point.
or would you rather him build up his arm strength through the bullpen? And that way you can deploy him possibly as a back end piece.
That's a really good point. I like that idea a lot. So maybe he does end up in that bullpen role.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't mind Will Warren as a fifth starter. That kid was so good his last 6 to 8 starts.
Hmm.
Uh, Pitched like a 2.6 ERA. He was number 1 in all of minor league baseball in the Stuff Plus ranking.
Yeah.
The movement's just filthy on his pitches, and
The last, I would say, 8 starts, which is like the last 2 months, he was at around a 2.6, 2.7 something ERA. But those last 5 starts, he was under 1. He was simply he got better every week as the season went along after that during those last 2 months.
Yeah, he was just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And
What opened my eyes a little bit more to him was the things that Grayson said to us in our conversation with
yes,
him. He made me see him in a different light. Like, maybe he is ready now.
yeah, Grayson definitely opened my eyes because I had Warren lower than I had him coming into that conversation with Grayson. And it
Mm-hmm.
just made me hearing what confidence he had in him and the just full backing that Grayson gave Will. It's just really raised my hopes for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think they're going to do at second base?
I think they're gonna keep Glaber for another season. I don't know what happens after that. Uh, I don't think the Yankees see a 150, $160 million player right there.
I don't
So,
either.
uh, and plus, like we just said, the system. Well, we've been saying the system is stacked with minor leaguers. Um, even after moving Sweeney, you still have Roderick Arias. Uh, you have Caleb Durbin. You
Jared
have Jared
Cerna.
Cerna coming up behind them as well. There's a lot of middle infielders in the system that are coming up.
Yeah.
And
I'm just,
they just traded for Vivas as well, who
yeah.
could just slot right in next season if need be.
I don't think they keep both Torres or Peraza this year.
I don't know what they're doing with Peraza. Like, I would have wanted him to be the starting third baseman, but they're paying DJ money, right?
Right.
Um, I think DJ's at a point in his career where he should be playing every day.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
either. But
his his play hasn't. I don't think his play has warranted him starting every single game. And his health especially should be indicative of that.
yeah, I would agree. I think I just don't know that they're maybe they do make Peraza the utility guy and he plays 3 or 4 days a week at one of the infield positions or something like that. But I don't know.
So if you have Peraza as your utility guy, doesn't that leave Cabrera as the odd man out?
Kind of. I mean,
Because
how
you
do you
already have
care?
4 or 5 outfielders.
Right. So who do you carry?
I don't know what they're gonna do there.
Should be
I mean,
interesting.
to me, it's crazy that a guy that was your number 2 prospect in the system for 2+ years, uh, is just floating around.
Yeah, and you can't get consistent playing time
Can't get,
for
yep,
some drives me
absolutely
nuts.
crazy.
So we have the farm report coming back in a couple weeks.
Hmm.
Can't wait to get that started. You got anything else dropping before then?
Um, we have our interview with Jared Cerna. We have another
Yes.
guest coming on Friday, so that'll be coming the following week. I know you're gonna be very excited about that.
Yeah, I am.
Um,
Los did me a solid, guys. He got
yeah,
somebody I'm very excited to
somebody that
interview.
he's been talking about forever.
Yes. So thank you, Los.
Uh, so I mean, just that, we'll try to line up more interviews, get you guys more, get a lot more guys exposure, talk to a lot more players and some of the coaches as well. And we'll see where it goes.
We've got some working on some creator interviews as well that we were gonna have on more towards the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Also,
Los,
we'll have on some Yankee Twitter folks as well.
yes, we will. Los, it was nice having just you and I on the screen again for a little
It's
while. Didn't
been a
get
while.
much into minor league baseball, but there's not much news right now. So we'll get into
Yeah.
that when we get a little bit more. But thanks,
Hmm.
guys.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.